Just wanted to make another video about something that was a very common thing that a lot of us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses have gone through, and Jehovah's Witnesses are going through right now. I will warn you that if you have any triggers about listening to anything about demons or Satan, you might not want to listen to this video. And I'll be showing some pictures that are in one of the brochures that I'll be talking about that are a little disturbing. Anyway, my name's Jessica, and welcome back to our channel, Locked in the Tower. What I'm going to be talking about is this brochure here. Spirits of the dead. Can they help you or harm you? Do they really exist? The video, I didn't intend for it to be about the brochure, but some things that have happened since leaving, and a lot of the videos we've seen on YouTube talk a lot about the images that we've seen in the Watchtower publications and the effect that they've had on us, especially if you grew up in it as a child. We repeatedly have seen a lot of these images, and they've affected us from nightmares, or they've affected us by giving us nightmares. And well, me anyway, I've always been afraid of the dark, and I even slept with my Bible as a child and as a teenager, and sometimes even as an adult, as sad as that is. But anyway, so sleeping with my Bible, being scared of the dark, the dreams I always had, and this happened clear up until we left being in the organization. I constantly had dreams about demons, and in the dreams I would try to say Jehovah's name, but I would be mute, I couldn't speak out, and I'd wake up in a panic, and I wouldn't have the strength to fight back in these dreams. Some of the things we were scared about was buying furniture at garage sales because they might be possessed. You couldn't watch demonic movies or read demonic books. Not that I enjoy those kinds of things anyway, but we couldn't watch those things out of fear of that we'd be inviting them into our homes. And then I'm not saying that demons aren't real. I do believe in the Bible. I do believe that Satan is real. I do believe demons exist. But the problem here is the way that the organization is using the scriptures, twisting them, creating this fear to keep you connected to the organization, keep you in it. Because if you're not in it, Satan's going to attack you. And those are things that are repeatedly talked about in Watchtower literature, at the conventions and public talks, and just, it's everywhere. And you don't realize how prevalent it is until you leave. But demon stories were always going around the organization. I mean, there was always, everybody's got to know at least 5 different demon stories, at least. Okay, here's one. This one is where a sister was out in service at the door. I don't remember, and I'm sure this story has like changed a million times from everybody telling it differently, but I just remember this sister was at the door, and the householder at the door was a serial killer or something, but they didn't hurt the sister because apparently there was 2 invisible big men standing on each side of her and didn't hurt her because she had Jehovah's protection. That was one. Um, and then another one I always heard as a child, my mother told this. I'm pretty sure she was talking about one of her friends who had got something at a garage sale, and it was some sort of knick-knack, and the sister had demons in her house, and she couldn't get rid of them, so they tried to break this thing, but it wouldn't break, and they tried hitting it with a hammer, and I don't remember what else. It wouldn't break until they prayed to Jehovah, and then miraculously this knick-knack busted. That was another one. And then I constantly heard stories. I remember we lived in this little cabin that was an elderly couples in the congregation's house. My mother actually had this older sister's bound volumes. I mean, she was probably like 100 years old back then. And I think this was in the 90s. I was 12 years old when we lived in this cabin. It had no electricity, no hot water. I remember we had to warm up the water on the stove in order to take baths. But in this little creepy cabin we lived in, I don't know if it was my mother that had brought the demons in the house, or if spooks already lived in the house, or whatever, but my mother was constantly being attacked by demons in this house. And it wasn't the only time, but she chalked it up as her, because she did Ouija boards, and her best friend was a witch when she was a teenager, before she came into the truth. But anyway, she was attacked several times by demons in this house, and the one story that I remember specifically was she was sleeping, and then she woke up and it looked like a sheet was covering her, and that a demon was covering her with a sheet. And so she jumped out of bed, and my dad made beautiful like driftwood tables, and he had one of these tables was like standing up against the wall, and my dad tried waking her up and she wouldn't wake up, and she thought he was the demon, and so she picked up this table, which was very heavy and she couldn't pick it up normally, and threw it at him, and it landed on his foot. So that was just another weird, creepy demon experience that I remember. And then one of the things, the reason why I brought this up too was because I saw a post today on Instagram from JW History that reminded me of these kinds of things, but it showed a picture of a little girl in bed, and like demon hands coming towards her, and how we have to pray to Jehovah for protection from the demons, and that the demons are so scared of Jehovah that they'll stay away from us, right? But one of the things that happened to us after we left the organization was I stopped being afraid of demons, and not that I don't think they're real, but I don't have this panicky dread like I always did when we were in it. And you know, I can walk around my house in the middle of the night in the dark and not feel like a presence behind me or whatever. It's a very strange thing to like have to think about that and deal with that, but we did have to deal with nightmares after leaving, but the dreams that we've had to deal with are more of like being trapped at a convention or stuck in the meeting, or being shunned. And what if the organization is right and we're all going to die at Armageddon? One of my favorite ones that I laugh about is where I handcuff myself to the podium at the Kingdom Hall and I'm like yelling and telling everybody about the Australian Royal Commission and the United Nations and the hiding of the pedophiles and all that stuff. And then the elders come to try to get me off the stage, but I pepper spray them. That's my favorite dream. And then my son, who's now 9, one of the things that happened right away as we left too, he also had nightmares. All of us have had nightmares, but he's been sleeping with us, ever since, and it's been a year and a half, and he's had tons of anxiety, and he's getting a little better, but it's still something that he's still traumatized from the organization, and it's terrible that we have to go through these things. But that's what I want to show you guys, is why we're traumatized. We're traumatized because we constantly are seeing images like this, and this is on, I just got this right off of jw.org, and it's, let's see, it was, the first edition of this was in 1991, and then the updated version, or they released it again in 2005. I don't know if they changed anything in it or not. I'm not going to do that much research into whether they did or they didn't, or if they took out anything. But I just thought this article is crazy, and the pictures in it are unbelievable. I mean, the video I did a while ago on children and what they're being subjected to, and the pictures that they're being subjected to on the website now, like, are not half as bad as the ones we were subjected to in the 90s, I think. I mean, even now, back then they were so graphic. So this one says, the demons are killers. Satan and the demons have always been cruel and dangerous. In early times, Satan killed the livestock and servants of faithful Job. Then he killed Job's 10 children by causing a great wind to destroy the house they were in. After that, Satan struck Job with a malignant boil from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. And here's where they start trying to scare you. In Jesus' day, the demons made some people speechless and blind. They tormented one man and made him slash himself with stones. They also caused a boy to cry out, dashed him to the ground, and violently convulsed him. And if you look on the website, like, this is just a printout, like a little printout, but in the actual brochure, these pictures are huge. And this picture right here, and some of the other ones that are in here, like, they're disgusting images of demons, and I'm pretty sure this is probably something that we studied. I just don't remember, thank goodness. Today, Satan and the demons are as murderous as ever. In fact, their evil activity has increased since they were thrown out of heaven. Reports from around the world testify to their cruelty. They plague some people with illness, others they harass at night, depriving them of sleep or giving them terrible dreams. Others they abuse sexually, still others they drive to insanity, murder, or suicide. And then they show pictures of here of other scary images and guns. And then they give examples of, and a lot of these examples in here are examples of people who live in Africa. And of course those are different examples, or different, there's different culture in Africa, and they do different things like that. So I don't know how this applies to people in the United States as much as it does over there, but they're using these examples to scare us over here. Anyway. Spirit mediums. The demons are able to observe a person when he is alive. They know how the person talked, what he looked like, what he did, and what he knew. So it is easy for them to imitate people who have died. I remember hearing this a lot growing up. and just thinking Satan and his demons are watching us all the time. And they can read our minds. Like, I was afraid to even say certain things out loud because then they would know. But then I knew he could, like, really read us. Like, he's been around for thousands of years, so he knows humans and he can read what we're thinking by what we're looking at, or I don't even know how to explain that, but anyway. False stories. Another way that Satan promotes the lie about the dead is through false stories. Such stories often turn people aside from Bible truth. And the interesting thing is in this brochure, and I didn't even print out the whole brochure, but just in the pages that I have here, there's 7 stories. 7 demonic stories of things that people have experienced, and they're mainly in Africa. I think there's one here in Brazil. But in Africa there are many tales about people who were seen alive after they died. The demons actually pretend to be spirits of the dead. Visions, dreams, and voices. Supernatural experiences. Marian, who lived in West Africa, there's a story about her being terrified. She would scream and wake up her whole household. Eventually she lost her sanity. Another example from Sierra Leone. This lady was sick. She had a dream in which her late father appeared, and he instructed her to go to a certain tree, take a leaf, mix it with water, and drink it. She was not to talk to anybody before doing this. She did this and she got well. Another woman said that her husband appeared to her one night after she died. Such messages and visions seem good and helpful. Are they from God? No, they are not. Jehovah is the God of truth. Never would he agree to tricking or deceiving us. Only the demons do that. Sounds like the organization. But are there good demons? No, even though they may seem helpful at times, all of them are bad. When the devil spoke with Eve, he seemed friendly, but what resulted to her after she listened to him and did what he said? She died. I think they use that same thing for apostates, don't they? If they listen to us, they're going to die. This stuff's all connected. Their wording and their language, it's all connected. Some more scary pictures. You know that it is not uncommon for a bad person to be friendly to those he wants to deceive and cheat. We have all experienced love bombing from the organization. White teeth, black heart, says the African proverb. And God's word says Satan himself keeps transforming himself into an angel of light. Wonder why they keep using everything African in this. Thus, when Jehovah warns us against the tricks of the devil, he does so because he loves us. He knows the demons are dangerous enemies. The demons encourage rebellion against God. But why do Satan and his demons work so hard to deceive people? Because they want us to join in their rebellion. They want us to worship them. They want us to believe their lies and to practice things that Jehovah does not like. He knows that those who get involved with demons are bound to suffer. One such person was Nilda, who was a spirit medium in Brazil. The demons made her life a misery. She relates, "The spirits possessed me, ordering me about. I alternated between states of consciousness and unconsciousness, and I was interned with psychiatric problems. The demons persecuted me so much that my nerves were affected. I took sedatives and began to drink and smoke constantly. This went on for years." And then there's a picture of a Ouija board, and it says, "God is against these bad things. He requires exclusive devotion to himself." And what they mean is exclusive devotion to the organization. Then it says, "In time, with help of Jehovah and his witnesses on earth, Nilda broke free of demon influence, and now lives a rich, wholesome life." Serve Jehovah, not Satan. As we have seen, the demons enjoy hurting and deceiving people. Avoid unclean practices by superstition and falsehood. They fear the dead. They fear the demons. They worry about curses. Well, this is talking about millions of people are held fast by superstition and falsehood. They fear the demons. They worry about curses, omens, charms, and fetishes. They are bound by beliefs and traditions based on the lies of Satan the devil. God's servants are ensnared by none of these things. But the funny thing is we didn't even realize how superstitious we were as Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yo, pizza barge. Yeah, I'd like to order one large special, the works, to travel. 167 Hemdale. Grazie. Oh, and listen, could you leave it by the oak tree in the backyard? I don't know, I'm superstitious.
We were more superstitious than I think most normal people because of things like this that we were constantly introduced to. Remember the scripture, Satan walks about or roams about like a roaring lion seeking to devour someone, and how the brothers would always say, take someone out and then put your name. So Satan is roving about seeking to devour me, you know. So that's how I always felt. Brr, I'm getting cold. And here's their big lie. If you serve Jehovah, he will protect you from the demons. Spells will not work on you. For example, in Nigeria, 3 powerful witch doctors cast spells to kill a witness of Jehovah who refused to leave town. When the spells failed, one of the witch doctors became fearful, went to the witness, and begged for mercy. If the demons harass you, you can call on Jehovah by name and he will protect you. So one of the things my husband said was, because we were talking about a couple of different stories that one story we had heard about a family in Tennessee who were on their way back from a convention. This happened in 1997. They stopped at a rest stop and were trying to witness to this group of teenagers that were on the run, headed towards Mexico, and they needed another vehicle because their vehicle was breaking down. And so this brother and sister and their 2 little kids, I think one was 6 and the other was just a baby, I think. The dad was trying to witness to them and had the little pamphlet. This is in a newspaper article, and they just recently did one last summer on it, the one that I came across. It was like a 20-year update on what had happened. And then anyway, this group of kids who were into satanic rituals decided to kill this family, and there's a whole bunch of really grotesque details about it that I won't get into. It's really sad. And then one thing that happened to a family that was actually in my husband's old congregation in Fresno, they were on their way back from a convention in Bakersfield, and they got into a car accident and the whole family died. But stories like these that go around, we always wondered, like, okay, so the Watchtower tells us one thing where we have Jehovah's protection, but then those kind of things happen, and it's confusing to people, and then the excuse that the organization gives when they don't have Jehovah's protection is that time and unforeseen occurrences. So Jehovah picks and chooses, like, who he's going to protect, you know, and then the way my husband puts it is they're giving witnesses a false sense of security by giving these kinds of stories about how Jehovah protects this person and that person, and then it makes you feel like you're unstoppable. So we go to the We go to the doors and we have angels protecting us. We've heard so many stories about people getting shot at when they're at the door, or people being attacked by dogs and being mauled. You know, where's Jehovah's protection there? You know. So then we have, here's the catch. So they give you all these scary things, and then here's the false sense of security. Practice true worship. If you want to please God, it is not enough merely to abandon false worship and stop doing bad things. You must actively practice pure worship. The Bible shows what is required. Attend Christian meetings. Hebrews 10:24 and 25. Read the Bible. John 17:3. Preach to others. Matthew 24:14. Pray to Jehovah. Philippians 4:6 and 7. Be baptized. Acts 2:41. And then it goes into associate with Jehovah's Witnesses. Satan and the demons have people on earth that teach and practice wrong things, but Jehovah has a people also. They are Jehovah's Witnesses. Their work is to help others serve God. They will study the Bible with you in your home, helping you learn how to worship Jehovah in the right way. You do not have to pay for this. The witnesses are happy to teach you the truth because they love people and they love Jehovah God. Jehovah's Witnesses will help you serve God until you leave the organization, and then they will shun you. This brochure, if you want to look at it, if you don't already have your own copy, all you gotta do is go under jw.org, and not that I am what's that word, promoting their website in any way, but if you'd like to see this for yourself, and I'm not making this up, all I did was type in demons, and the first article that came up was the demons are killers, and it takes you right to the brochure there. Anyway, hope you like this video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good night. Bye.